Hi, are you Lauren?
I am. Are you Gianna?
Yes, hi, I'm going to be your therapist for today.
Okay.
Have a seat.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, I'm a senior at St. Xavier, and I'm a clinical and counseling psychology major with a sociology minor. I have a part-time job at a lawyer's office, and I volunteer once a week. So it's just a little crazy schedule every week, really.
Okay, so we have before I begin, I would like to set a few got our boundary lines. The first is confidentiality. So whatever is said in this office stays in this office. It doesn't go outside these walls. Kind of kind of like me, just between me and you, unless you're going to harm yourself or others. Because as a licensed clinical professional counselor, I am a mandated reporter, so
Okay.
I have to report anything that is said that will be alarming.
Okay.
And so we have 15 minutes together today, and I hope we can make use of it. So you can. I intend that you have some stressors in your life that are really causing some havoc. So if you'd like to elaborate on those, you can feel free to do so.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. No, we didn't. Oh, yeah, it is done.
Are you Gianna?
Yes, are you Lauren?
I am.
Hi, I'm going to be your therapist for today.
Okay.
So have a seat. So tell me a few things about yourself.
Well, my name is Lauren. I'm a senior at St. Xavier with a clinical counseling psychology major and a sociology minor. I go to school full-time. I have a part-time job at a lawyer's office, and I also volunteer once a week. So it's kind of a little crazy schedule.
Okay. So before we begin, I would like to go over a few things with you. First is confidentiality. So whatever is said in this office stays in this office. So I'm not going to go out and tell like anybody else about what we talk about in this office. Unless obviously you're going to harm yourself or others, because as a clinical counselor, I am a mandated reporter. So if you say anything that's really like alarming, I'm going to have to report it.
Okay.
So we have 15 minutes together. So I hope you can make use of this time. And I understand that you're very stressed with a bunch of different things going on in your life. So just want to elaborate on those. Feel free to do so.
Well, I would say school is my biggest stressor. My job, it's fine. It really doesn't stress me out. I really like it. And also, I volunteer at a grammar school Friday mornings. I help the resource ladies. So those are like the kids that have like, a hard time in class with like learning disabilities and whatnot. But now that I'm a senior, I'm thinking about grad school, getting into all that. And that's honestly like the biggest worry in my life right now. You see, at first I went into St. Xavier as an education major, which means that you don't have to get your master's, because I knew that I wanted to work with kids. I just didn't know what exactly. And so sophomore year, I shadowed a school social worker, and I ended up really liking it. I ended up, going to her school like probably twice a month, doing like volunteer work there and listening in on her sessions, and I ended up really liking it. So I switched my major to psychology, and now that I know that I have to go to grad school for social work, I'm getting all my applications ready, and it's just it's honestly, it really worries me, because I hear people say, oh, it's so hard to get into grad school. Yeah, it just makes me think like, I want to do social work. Well, that's what I want to do. And if I don't get into grad school, how am I going to do that?
Well, do you have like a backup plan in case you don't
go
to grad school?
Yeah, either I would just work at my lawyer's office until I find something better, because my current job, it's really nice and it is good pay. But obviously that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would either stay there or find, another job just like with kids, maybe in like a daycare,
Mm-hmm.
you know, something like that. But I really, really want to get into grad school for next fall because I
Mm-hmm.
graduate in May. And, you know, I'm just trying to get all my personal statements together, which I hear is the most important
Mm-hmm.
part of the application. And so I'm trying to get those perfected. I'm trying to, you know, make sure that I get those checked by several
Mm-hmm.
professors, which I have. And so I just wish that it was easier. I wish they didn't have like oh, we're only accepting, 30
Mm-hmm.
people. And obviously there's going to be a lot more
Mm-hmm.
applicants than 30 people. And obviously I'm applying to like 8 different schools, but of course I have a top couple that I would like to
Mm-hmm.
but of course the one is like obviously super hard to get into, but you know, and another thing is like I wish they just like I have a good GPA, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously people are going to be applying there that have like 3.9s or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, so obviously they're going to stand out more. But I just wish that the admissions people didn't really look at that right away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's more to a person than their GPA,
Mm-hmm.
and so I wish, and they might go deeper into that, but I just really really want to get in, and it worries me every single day.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It's stressing you out very very much so. So how do you feel about um? I just lost my train of thought. Um.
It's just like, I have my letters of recommendation set in line, which is another big step for the admissions process. Another thing is like tuition, which I hear grad schools don't give out scholarships like
Mhm.
colleges do, regular college. Um, and I'm very grateful that I haven't had to take out a loan for
Mhm.
my current undergrad. I'm very grateful for that. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm just worried about that too.
Mhm.
That shouldn't be my biggest worry. I know, and it's not.
Mhm.
Obviously, my biggest worry is getting into grad school. Then I'll figure
Mhm.
out what to do. Um, and another thing is like, do I work while going to grad school? That's something that I'm
Mhm.
kind of um, thinking about as well, because I don't know. I don't know if I'm sure it's manageable, but
Mhm.
I don't know. It's all just crazy. I just wish it was easier.
Yeah, I feel that the stress in your voice and it's like that. You don't know like which way to turn, and you don't know like if you're like what if you don't get in or
Hmm.
something like that. So it's like how would you feel if you did get in?
Well, I'd be super heartbroken, but like if I didn't get into 8 schools, it would really, really, really like set me off. Like
Mhm.
I know that maybe I'll get rejected from a few of the top
Mhm.
schools, which is fine. Like I kind of understand that. But for the other ones, I'm really hoping that I get accepted into at least one.
Mhm.
Um, if I don't, I'll be very upset. I know that you can always reapply
Mhm.
whenever. I know that, but obviously, in a perfect world, you would like to get accepted the
Mhm.
first time you apply. A lot of people say, well, why don't you just work after school, save
Mhm.
up, and then go back to grad school? My thing is, I rather just, because I'm not a huge school person. I've never
Mhm.
really been. Um, well, I guess I was when I was little, like in grammar school and I guess high school, but when I got to college, I was just kind of like, eh. That's why I wanted to pick a major that I didn't really have to go far into school for.
Mhm.
Um, but nowadays, it seems like every major you really have to go
Mhm.
farther into school no matter what you do. And it wasn't like that back then. Like my parents, they didn't have to do that.
Mhm.
Um, Now it's just education, 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 and I get that. But it's like at the same time, like if you know what you want to do and you feel that you have the experience from
Mhm.
volunteering and whatnot, then they should just let us do it. They should give us a chance and just let us do it.
Yeah, exactly.
They just put a lot on college kids. I feel like a lot of stress that really doesn't need to be there.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, it just yeah, it sounds like it's very stressful. Like, yeah, it's a very stressful world out there nowadays,
it
and
is.
Um,
And I'm really grateful for my part-time job. They're very nice to me. Like they're super flexible. They understand that school is my top priority.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can't make it into work, blah blah blah, they totally understand that. And so yeah, he's actually my boss is actually the one that's one of the ones that's gonna write me a letter of recommendation. So I feel like that's going to be very good. And also they pay me very well for a college student. You know, college students always say, "Oh, well, you know, I'm so broke, I'm so broke, I'm so broke." Honestly, that's never been really the case for me because I'm so grateful for this job. I've never been, you know, a broke college kid, as they would say. I guess that helps, definitely helps living at home because I commute to school.
Okay.
So, yeah, that definitely helps with being with my parents, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Grateful I don't have to pay rent and whatnot, but it's just like I find grad school to be very, you know, and I talk to people that have been in and they say, oh yeah, it's hard, but you know it's manageable and all it is really like that's what I hear is like papers. I don't know if there's tests. I'm not really worried about that, but I'm just more worried about getting in. Everyone's like, you'll get in, but really they don't understand because they're not really in that position. And it's like, well, it's tough. And gratefully I didn't have to take GRE, which I'm very, very happy about because like I'm not good at test taking either. Like I wouldn't say anxiety about it, but like, you know, I get really, really nervous when I have a test. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't study until the day before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I study at least like 3 days before, at least, depending on what subject it is. And so if I had to take the GRE, I would definitely question like everything.
Well, I wish I had the answer that I can give you the answers to these problems, and to like wish you that to kind of like get you in the door somewhere. But is there anything else that you're dealing with besides for grad school? Any other issues?
Not really. It's just that, honestly. I mean, like, school is just like the biggest issue. I always feel that, you know, and some of the grad schools say, oh, we only look at the last 2 years, the junior year and senior year of your transcripts, because those are the most important ones. And so now that's like a relief / like scary thing, I guess. I don't know, because like you feel so pressured, like, oh my gosh, you can't do bad on this test because what if that brings your grade way down? It almost feels like you have to do straight A's for junior and senior year, which it's hard to do in my opinion. But then again, it's a relief because, you know, maybe if you didn't do well a freshman year class or whatever, they're kind of like, well, it's a freshman year class, doesn't have anything to do with your major, so that's okay. So I hope that the admissions process, you know, the people have, you know, a good enough, like, heart that they look into everything. Because I'm like, well, what if they don't read your whole personal statement? Like, you work months on this, and they may just read 1 or 2 sentences and say yes or no for that. And it's like, well, we all deserve a lot more than that. Like, we've put our heart and soul into this, and if that happens, that'll just be devastating. So,
yeah, like how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about like them only reading like a sentence or two about your personal statement? Because as I was listening to you, I seen that that's a big stressor because you seem that you put like all this effort and time and correction and everything like that. So if they just only read a sentence or two, how would that make you feel?
well, that's the thing. So I wrote my first draft. I went to my professor, and he pretty much changed a lot of it, which I expected because, you know, this is my first time writing my personal statement. It wasn't going to be the great. He changed a lot of it, and my biggest thing is, you know, you need a huge opening sentence that it just like catches their eye. And it's like, so that was what I really struggled with. I typed the whole thing. I didn't do my introduction for the last part because I had no idea for an opening line. I had no idea. So I thought of one, and my professor was like, no, that's not very good, so let's think of something else. So I'm like, all right. So finally we had one. I just, I don't know if it's good. It's definitely good, but like I don't know if they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like yes, So I just think that we all deserve a lot more than for them to read the first two lines and be like, okay, no, like automatically put you in the decline list. It's like
absolutely.
I just wish there was enough room for everyone to be accepted.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's one of your biggest stressors, and something that you really worry about day in and day out. And I wish I had those answers for you, but it probably felt good to just
Definitely,
vent and
I've never really talked about it. Like I have with a few people, but never really this lengthy. So.
So our session is coming to an end now. If this counseling session has really benefited you, you can feel free to schedule another appointment with me. But if not, then I wish you the best of luck in grad school and your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.